Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of We Talk Photo. This is a special edition where we're going to talk about photographing bears in Alaska. I am one of your hosts, John Peterson, and with me, as always, is Mr. Jack Gray M. How are you,
Yes,
Jack?
sir. Cold Tennessee.
Oh yeah, it's winter time. It's winter time. But you know what? We're already thinking ahead to September 2025, where you and I will be taking a group of folks back up to Katmai National Park to photograph grizzly bears in their natural environment.
I looked today to try to determine how many trips it's been, and I'm guessing, I mean, it's a lot. I didn't realize how many times we were there. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's been a bunch for sure.
Time flies when you're having fun, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it'll be September before you know it.
Yep, it sure will. Well, yeah,
But
we've done this trip for quite a few years and at different times of the year. And this year we're going in September. Last year we went in September, and kind of the benefit of doing that is that the bears are a little bit further inland as they follow the salmon migrations, and we get beautiful fall color in the landscape to go along
correct,
with the wildlife.
correct.
And that's just a fantastic experience. You know, we've been up in June and July, and yeah, the weather's nice and sunny, but the foliage isn't great and the lighting's super harsh. And so September seems to be the magical time of year where we've really enjoyed these trips.
And it hasn't been that cold.
No, oh no, no, no.
And in fact, it's not really even cold. I mean, it's actually truthfully more comfortable.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like Oregon or
I think what's interesting, John, is that um, is it is it twice now we've done September or just a one
just
time?
one so far.
Okay, but on that trip, we had at least three or four people on that trip who came with us when we were doing the summer trips. And
Workshop. Yep.
and the real difference is that in the summer we fly in the morning and we land on a lake and we hike over a hill or do some walking down to the river and navigate the river by foot up and down. And we do go to places where the bears are, but many times, we're either walking around looking for them or standing there waiting for them to come down, and they're there. I mean, we've never been skunked, never.
Mhm.
And we'll talk about why we use the outfitter we do. That's part of the reason. But interestingly enough, I think we had at least three and maybe four repeat customers that did the trip in September, who did the other trip. And all four said they would never go back to the other trip
Right.
because we were able to cover more ground. And we're going to get into why here in a minute. But I'll tell you, as far as I'm concerned, I think, John, you feel the same way. I mean, the September trip was a lot more productive for us.
Well, it was both photographically and then even just enjoyment wise. It's slightly different, and it was just an amazing experience for everybody that came along. So
Let's
yeah,
stay
let's
with it. Let's talk about what's the same first.
well, bears.
Same thing is we travel through Anchorage and then to our outfitter. We're staying at the same outfitter we've stayed at all the years. The food is amazing. So all that is the same. The accommodations are the same. Um, I haven't had anybody that was unhappy in all the years we've
No.
been there.
Each day
Um,
we wake up and hop into float planes and fly into the park. And where in the park solely depends on where the bears are. And thankfully, our outfitter is probably the highest rated in terms of number of flight hours and most of the year's experience working in the park doing this kind of stuff. And he knows where the bears are.
And interestingly enough, not to, I guess I used that term already, but interestingly enough, it's kind of like photo workshops. I'm seeing names that I've never heard of before showing up. And all of a sudden, I'm getting some emails and people are telling me about all these outfitters that A, we don't know, and B, that our outfitter and guides, they don't know who they are.
Right.
And folks, let me tell you, you don't want to mess around up here.
No, I
This is a
mean,
very safe trip. Um, this particular outfitter that we use is, I think, the safest. He works with a lot of other photographers. He's very photography oriented. In fact, I don't think he's doing any fishing trips anymore. I think everything he does is
I think
photographically
so
oriented.
too. I mean,
And he doesn't mess around. I mean, we had a couple years where we didn't think we were gonna. We'll talk about what happens if the weather comes in and we can't get back. It's perfectly safe. But he doesn't take any chances. And safety is a very important thing to John and I, as far as, you know, for the people who come with us as well as ourselves. And frankly, we're not messing around.
no, no. And, Alaska really is kind of one of the last frontiers, and you need to know what you're doing if you're traveling through the Alaskan landscape, either by air or by land or by water. It's very serious business up there, and going with an outfitter that knows what they're doing further increases your chance of having a really safe and very memorable experience. As Jack sort of was alluding to, our outfitter, he has caches of equipment stashed in different areas around the park. If for some reason we can't get back to the lodge that night, we'll have food and shelter and all that kind of good stuff. But that's never happened to
In
us.
fact,
And
they go
knock on
so
wood,
far as
hopefully
to
it
have
won't.
electrified fences.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
we have to
And
stay in the tents till the weather clears, nothing's getting through these fences
no,
that could harm us.
but I think the bottom line, Jack, though, is I mean, if people are investing a lot of time and a lot of money into these kinds of trips, you really need to pick the right people to go with. And it's really hard sometimes to figure out who's an established outfitter and who's a fly-by-night operation or somebody that's new to the business. And the good thing is over the many years we've come to know and love our outfitter and have a really close working relationship with him. And he's one of the best in the business. So I have the utmost confidence in heading out with him whenever we go out.
And he's very picky. He can't fly both planes, but he's very, very picky. His other pilots have been with him for years and years and years and are very experienced. So I guess that's part of the service we provide our clients that maybe is behind the scenes that nobody knows about. Maybe, you know.
Or fully appreciates. I mean, our whole goal is to make sure that the entire experience is well worth our clients' money, and that's that involves everything. So super happy. Well, let's jump in and talk a little bit about what these kind of trips are like. I mean, it's to me it qualifies as a bucket list experience. I mean, we are out in the natural environment with these animals, these very large animals, and we're 50 yards away from them, if not closer, if the bear chooses to come closer to us. And I'll show you a couple of pictures. But it's so amazing to be out there with these bears, watching them live their lives and trying to survive before they go into hibernation for the winter. And they're this time of year in September, they're feeding on silver salmon that generally run September and October. And we're going up right at the right kind of in the heart of the silver run. So there's lots of fish around for them to be feeding on. So all day long these bears are just sitting, catching fish, eating fish, sleeping, catching more fish. That's really all they do, trying to pack on the pounds for their upcoming hibernation.
Which isn't far off from when we're there.
No, no, no,
Might
no,
be
no.
30 days, 45 days.
Yeah.
They're gone. They're
Yeah.
asleep.
So and the good news too, going this late is that the bears are they've already been packing on pounds all summer, so they look healthy. They're not scrawny and emaciated like they just came out of their dens. They're really full-bodied, beautiful, beautiful animals. And Jack, I love the story of how kind of we hang out around a lot of female bears that have cubs with them, and because the male bears don't like humans, and so we don't see a lot of male bears, which is fine with me. I'll take the females and the cubs every day. And the female cubs have learned that male bears will shy away from humans, and so they want to be around us
Correct.
to help protect their cubs. Because sometimes the male bears will kill the cubs, um, and to get the female to breed again, but we serve a little purpose to help protect the cubs from the male bears. And so they're more than welcoming to us in their environment, and they're never feeling threatened. They know we're not a food source, nor are we an enemy or a source of danger. So they love having us around.
Yeah,
I
no, it's
love being
you
around.
know, I have to tell you, this is that I've got so many bear pictures, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I tell people who may want to come with us, I said if I never take another bear picture, it's perfectly okay. But I want to go. It's just amazing to watch what they do and how they go about their feeding and taking care of the cubs and all the stuff that they. It's an amazing thing to see. This is not a zoo. This is the real deal.
This is
You
the real
know,
deal. And it's what some of my most memorable experiences are not necessarily. Yeah, I got like you, I have a ton of great photographs, but I remember listening to the bear. We went up to a bear that was on its side sleeping, and I could hear him breathing or her breathing.
you sure that
And
wasn't me in the room in the hotel room?
yeah, no, it wasn't you. But
Okay.
little things like just listening to this massive animal at rest. Experiences like this you can't get in a curated type of experience. So this is very much out in the wild. Um, let's go ahead, Jack, if you want, and show a couple of images.
Yeah,
You're
why don't you start, John?
okay.
I think you
You
might have a few more than
betcha.
me. I didn't take a whole lot of time here.
Well, let's kick off just a few images. And when we fly from Anchorage to our Outfitters Lodge, we take a small air taxi, fly over the beautiful Alaska mountains, and every time this flight is just magical going over these mountains for me. I love them.
And what
Um,
we do is our clients, obviously we have to fly there and back. And this airplane that we fly over is bigger than the one we use by the outfitter. And I think it probably seats comfortably, probably 15, 16 people, and we only
15 people.
have 10. So we kind of make sure everybody gets a window that they can look out of. And those who get the window going up will the other group will get the windows going back. So
Yeah.
everybody will get to look out and see what John's showing you here.
Yep. I'll just show you a couple photographs. This is last year a group we went up to Brooks Falls. Maybe we'll get up there this year. We don't know. We'll have to see how the bears are, but this is just one of the viewing platforms at
And it's
Brooks
weather
Falls.
related too. Flying in there, you have to have the right weather conditions to
Yep,
land up there.
to land up on that lake. Here's a few of our folks one year. This is in essence us out in the wild photographing the grizzly bears. You can see how close we are to them, um, and kind of what the experience is like. Last year, we flew in and landed on a lake, unloaded the airplanes, unloaded the rafts. And that's, to your point, Jack, that's what's a little different in the fall is instead of walking up and down the river, we take rafts and float up and down the river.
Yeah, let's let everybody know that we don't work real hard.
No,
We get out of the plane and watch. We help out a little bit, but typically John and I do. But you as the clients, if you choose to go with us, everything's done for you.
oh yeah. And,
It's
and as we're going, this is as fast a water as we'll ever see. And as we're going down the river, if we see a bear, we'll stop and pull over and get out of the boat and start photographing them. As you can see here, here's our group from last year one day. People hanging out watching the
And these
bears.
are experienced rafting folks as well.
Yeah,
The
and
folks
Alaska
who,
guides.
yeah, and they carry everybody, they do carry firearms just in case. Never had to use them, but
You know,
just in case.
firearms and bear spray. We were near the bank last year, and this one curious bear started coming up to us as we were sitting in the raft. So I decided to snap that picture. And again, it's our goal to stay a little bit further away from the bears than this. But he happened to come up and just kept coming at us until we eventually rode away from him. Every year we take a wonderful group picture. This is us with the float planes and one of the float planes. Just a great, great time. Photograph from Brooks Falls, pretty iconic location. As I said, I don't know if we're going to make it there or not. This is me out in the river photographing the bears one year. You can see how
That's a
close
great
I am.
photograph. I wonder who took that.
Yeah, I know who took it. It wasn't
Jeez,
you.
what a great photograph.
Wasn't you. But Jack, every year there's some memorable experiences
Yeah.
and every year I get one photograph or a sequence of photographs that make the whole trip worthwhile. And about 3 or 4 trips ago, this was one sequence that just made my whole trip.
I remember that.
And this bear was picking up this salmon and playing with it. He was throwing his food basically. So I watched the animal. I got a sense of his rhythm and snapped off this sequence. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of this sequence. And I showed it to our outfitter, and he's never seen a bear do this before. And it was a really unique, really kind of unique experience. There was another guide up there with a client, and all of us, they were hiking along this ridge. All of a sudden, these 2 bears popped out of the bush. The client's crouched down, ready to run, and the guide is sitting there taking a picture. And they were literally 20 yards away. It was pretty incredible to watch.
And those bears aren't really fighting. They're playing
No,
like two little puppy dogs play.
yeah, it's a play fighting thing. These really cute cubs, 4 cubs that we saw at Brooks Falls last year, which, always got to have the awe factor. Speaking of the fall foliage with the animals, so this is an example of what that looks like kind of in September. Get some really nice color. Always I love when the bears twist and you get that spray of water from around them. And we get to see every behavior on these kinds of trips, from hunting and fishing to sleeping to twisting like this, stalking their prey. This is a bear just tense, poised on the riverbank, and I kind of like the tension in this shot. Again, the awe factor of the little cubs, 2 little first-year cubs with mom hanging out in the bush. This was from last year. Another one from last year. Here's a bear in action, just leaping off the bank after a salmon, and I happened to catch just the right frame. But I tell you, one of my favorite shots from last year, Jack, is this one. I called it Baroscope, like a periscope, but a baroscope. And folks, our outfitter provides us waders and wading boots, so we're free to walk in the water. And I got down in the water and got my camera right above eye level to shoot this bear swimming across the water. And just for me, this is one of my favorite photographs that I've ever taken on these trips. And I think it's because I can see his eye, the aquamarine color of the water, and it's something different. And I love that kind of photograph. You know, in September versus June and July, we can incorporate more of the landscape because there's more color, more drama in the skies, more even lighting. I have more landscape and bear photographs from our September trip than I do from any of the other trips that we've
Yep.
taken. Dappled sunlight on the hillside, this was this one amazing. We had rafted down this creek and came to the confluence with the lake where we were going to meet our airplane. And there was probably 100 bears that were gathered in this location, all crossing the water. Never seen anything like it. Here's a shot of a few of the bears checking out our float plane and our pilot. It was incredible. But flying over the landscape, this glacial silt in the lakes, and then the golden foliage in the countryside. There was always some great aerial photography to do out of the side of the airplane. And again, depending on itinerary and depending on the schedule, we may fly from our outfitter's lodge up to Lake Clark to visit a cabin that's run by the National Park Service. Dick Prenicky is the one. He went into this area and lived for 20 to 30 years, built a cabin, and he basically started weather forecasting, the whole concept of weather forecasting up in Alaska and snow surveys and all that kind of good stuff. He did it, and it's a really fun trip to fly up to Lake Clark and go visit this cabin and see just beautiful, beautiful scenery. So that's a little bit of what I got, Jack. What do you have to share?
John, I got a few images, but I mean, they're going to be pretty repetitive of your stuff. If I can
Sorry, I
figure
stole
out
your
all this
thunder.
technology here, I think what I need to do is I need to hit share screen. Am I right?
You are right. Hit that share button and then pick the screen you want to share. You should be good to go.
Did that come up?
Yep.
And so that picture that John was in the river, this is that river. Now, this was, I think, the year before I took the picture of John in the river. If you look back here, you'll see a little yellow coat. That is one of our photographers who managed to get down into that river. And, this is kind of typical of what the rivers look like. Pretty amazing. And again, the old bears with the fish. I'll go through these quick. This is the airplane. This is a de Havilland Beaver airplane.
One of the airplanes. We have
One of
three
the
of them.
airplanes. It seats probably three, five, seven people. The gear goes back in the back here. Of course, these are the pontoons that we land on the lakes. Very, very safe airplane. Um, Reacts really well to wind currents and is perfect for the what we're doing up there. And again, some of the rivers. Again, you can't hike this river from the top here to the bottom here. I'm guessing it's probably a good 3 to 5 miles. We cover a day, John. What would you say? Probably 5 to 10 miles, easy a day on the
Yeah.
raft.
Yep.
So we get to cover a lot more ground. Again, more river stuff, um, more bear things, more rivers. If we do get to Brooks Falls, it's quite common that with a long lens, you can, again, they're playing here. Believe me, if these bears wanted to hurt each other, they could. They're just playing like two little puppy dogs.
Yeah.
And you get this kind of stuff in Brooks. If we do get, for any reason, that we don't get to fly, and I think in all the years we've been there, John, I'm thinking maybe 3 days
I,
in
I
all
was
the
going to say
years.
two.
Too. Close to where we're staying is a Russian Orthodox church that we get to, and a number of these really cool little old fishing hunts that we, get in the car and go out and make photographs. We don't sit around just because of the
Plus
weather.
waterfalls and lakes, and there's
This
yeah,
is a
there's
river that we drove up to on a day that we couldn't fly in the fall,
yep.
you know. Um, that's landing on the lake. And again, like John said, anymore, these images without the spray, they're so common now. Back in the day when you were shooting 64 ISO film at 100, you'd never guess this. But we're going to we show our folks how to do all of this stuff, and a lot of this is repetitive. I'm not gonna bore you, but it's a great time of year to be there. And you
Hmm.
know, we'd love to see you come up with us. I guess this is a combination video that we're doing to talk about what we do and telling you all why I think that we're different than a lot of the other groups that go up there.
You betcha.
So,
You betcha.
uh,
So, as Jack said, that this is not it's you don't need to be in great physical shape because again, we spend most of our time in the floating on the rafts and getting out and just walking on the rocky shoreline. So you need to have a little bit of stable footing underneath you, but you really don't need great physical shape. The outfitter gives us our wet weather gear. We just bring rain gear and insulation if we need it. And the cool thing, Jack, is you don't need to be an expert photographer to do this kind of trip, right? We've had beginners, we've had iPhone people, beginners, intermediates, and advanced. And it really, you and I are down to just taking two lenses with us for a trip like this, a wide angle lens and a telephoto lens, and that's
yeah,
all we need.
yep.
We don't need a lot of gear for a trip like this. We will bring I usually bring a tripod, but a lot of people can get by without them.
And in the
Um,
raft, you're hand holding with your stabilization working.
yep, yep. So
But the
it
ISO that you shoot at, it's bright days, so you got plenty of speed.
Yep, plenty
It's
of
not.
shutter speed. So you don't need to be an expert anything. And it largely, I hate to say it's like shooting fish in a barrel sometimes, but there's been days when we've had 20 and 30 bears around us. And it's easy shooting and what we will work with you and coach you on is learning how to take even better photographs, tell a story, capture animals behaviors and expressions. Those are the things that we look for now, not just bear pictures but just what are the expressions on the bear's face and when to sort of expect those kinds of things. And so that's what the kind of instruction that you and I give in the field, which I think is helpful.
We have really four full days out on the river. And, you know, basically maybe the first day, but by halfway through the first day, you're going to get it. You get it real quick on how to anticipate and capture what you want to do. It's not that difficult, but every day is different. And I have to tell you, the great thing, John said it two, three times. The great thing about going in September is the backgrounds and the landscape, and it's magic. It's just so different and so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it
You
really
know,
is. Well, Jack, I think we've bent everybody's ear long enough. Folks, if you want more information about the workshop, it's posted on Jack's website, my website. Feel free to either leave a comment below on the video or drop us an email. We're happy to give you all the information that you need if you're interested in coming on this trip. So I think it's the last week of September 2025. Yeah, we've got just two seats left. We're just about sold out on it. But we'd love to, if you have interest, we'd love to have you along. All right.
couldn't say it better.
Yep. Excellent. Well, thanks for watching, folks, and stay tuned for our next video coming up shortly. And with that, have a great day.
The next video will be on hot tubs of the Southwest, as my good friend Bill Ford says.
There you go. There you go.
Thank
All
you all.
right,
We'll talk
folks.
to you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.